Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Blacklogic. So this evening, we're going to go over President-elect Trump's foreign policy moves that may lead to a war with Iran. Anticipation builds over potential January 6 pardons of those who may get pardons. Again, how you label it, the insurrection, the protest, the riot, however, as well as the Mexico and Trump's immigration policy. So let's jump right into this. So President-elect Donald Trump is signaling a more assertive stance on Iran. Reports suggest his administration is considering military action against Iran while simultaneously pledging to end prolonged U.S. military engagements in the Middle East. The dual approach indicates a complex foreign policy strategy that aims to project strength without entangling the U.S. in extended conflicts in America. We are no guests when it comes to foreign wars. We're no guests when it comes to international wars altogether. And I did a quick search in Gemini. I used AI for this particular information, FYI, and I want to blow this up to you guys so you guys can see all the conflicts that we have been essentially involved with, okay? Because there's been quite a bit of conflicts that I think that you guys may not be privy of, that you guys may not even be aware of. I'm just trying to see how many of the potential conflicts that could lead in full-fledged war and their potential partners that can essentially help us all together. Now, of course, you guys remember the United Kingdom War of 1812, but that was a 3-year war. The Mexican-American War, 1846 to 48. The Spanish-American War. We was at war with Germany in World War I and in World War II. Japan, World War II, of course, when we dropped 2 nuclear bombs, one on Hiroshima and I believe the other one on Nagasaki. Of course, if I'm correct, please correct me in the chat. Austria and Hungary. Italy, we was in war with Italy as well. Bulgaria, Hungary, Romania. Then other these were not necessarily formal declarations of war, but these were conflicts nonetheless. Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, North Korea, North Vietnam, Dominican Republic, Grenada, Panama, Iraq, Somalia, Bosnia, Serbia, Afghanistan, Libya, ISIS, and Syria. So we have been with war with quite a few people, and it seems as though it's time to go to war with Iran. We went to war with a lot of these countries who had terrorist groups that was assisting, let's say Iraq, where you had Yemen and other groups, ISIS. We have all these different terrorist groups that was assisting in a lot of these conflicts and or wars we were a part of. So we haven't officially went to war with Iran. And I'm not stating that I want to go to war, but there is some rhetoric behind. There are some talks that President Trump wants to go to war with Iran or at least have certain conflicts, because don't forget that, I think it was September or October, Israel invaded Iran missile facility. So again, there's been these little skirmishes, there's been these little conflicts that, again, a lot of those acts lead to full-fledged war. So again, I'll keep you guys abreast of that information altogether. Now, a lot of lawmakers, because as of the 4th anniversary of January 6th coming tomorrow, the January 6th Capitol attacks approaches, lawmakers are apprehensive about President-elect Trump's promise to pardon many of those charged in connection with the riot. These pledges have sparked debate, with some Republicans advocating for case-by-case considerations, while others push for broad pardons. Opponents argue that such actions could undermine the rule of law and the sacrifices made by law enforcement during the insurrection and or protests. Now, again, prior to these acts, President Donald Trump at the time, before Joe Biden came into office, told the people who gathered in a rally that was close to the Capitol, go and have a peaceful protest. In my opinion, that does not incite an insurrection, but it may incite a protest, because he stated protest. He never said attacked or riot. Now, these people who was scaling the wall, I know this looks very grimacing to a point where it looks very chaotic, but scaling the wall to enter that, I don't know if that calls for a fine or minimum prison time, maybe trespassing. But for those who enter the Capitol building that didn't have permission, And should they or do they deserve a pardon? That's my question. Because not every single person who were protesting, okay, or rioting or part of the insurrection, because you're stating that every single body there entered the Capitol building. I don't think that was the case. There were still many people outside, and many of them, okay, let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's say half of them was outside and half of them were just protesting altogether and using their vocal constitutional right against the so-called steal the deal when it came to Donald Trump losing his second term. Now, those others, do they deserve a fine? Do they deserve prison time? Should they be pardoned? These are the questions I believe that a lot of the American people want to know. Now, if you are a Republican, you're a conservative, or you part of the so-called MAGA group, again, not every single Republican, not every single conservative is not adjacent or a part of what they're calling the MAGA movement or the MAGA concentrated group. Now, even some of them didn't go inside. So again, if you didn't destroy any federal property, if you didn't enter the Capitol building, me personally, I don't believe you deserve any jail time. If you was just there protesting your constitutional right, that you don't believe that, the Democrats won this election, they stole the vote and they did all sorts of heinous things, fraudulent things to win, that's your God-given constitutional right to do so. So I do not believe that those people should be incarcerated and that they should even need a pardon. Now, if they're being brought up on these very bogus charges, then yes, they would need a pardon. But for those who actually broke the law, who after the Capitol Police told them to leave, okay, disband a lawful order, again, back the blue. We got to back the blue. See, that's the thing what I'm noticing. There's this very double conflicting mindset of people that, okay, this was okay because this wasn't an insurrection, this wasn't a riot. Can it be two things at one time? Could this have been part of the people, a peaceful protest, while another group of people started the insurrection? It reminds me of the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as the organization. And you had Antifa there starting ruckus and riots and burning buildings and destroying things. And a lot of people, mostly from the right, were stating that, they should all go to jail. All of those Black Lives Matter people should go to jail. Not every single Black Lives Matter person destroyed any property. Not every single one burnt the building or tried to physical violence against a police officer. You see how I look at things very neutral? Is it possible that other people can look at this the same and say, well, not everybody there broke a law. Not everybody there committed a crime. Is that possible? I'm just asking a question. I wonder if that's possible. But nonetheless, let's move on. Now, I don't know if you guys was aware of this. This is the new president as of October of last year of Mexico. Mexico has signaled its willingness to receive non-Mexican deportees under Trump's newly revived immigration policies. This comes as Trump doubled down on tightening border control, vowing to enforce stricter deportation measures. Why is this significant? The question that a lot of us essentially ask him, because the logistics and ethics of deporting non-Mexican migrants to Mexico is already drawing major international scrutiny. Experts are questioning how this will affect Mexico's asylum system, not to mention the diplomatic ties between our country. And again, I'll be following this all together, but I have a bit to say on this. Now, I know a lot of the agreements that were talked about was with the previous president, who was a male. And not only are we going to talk about this very quickly, but I want you guys to focus in on her name. Is this a Mexican name? Is this a Mexican name? Claudia Sheinbaum? She's a Mexican president? Now, she looks Mexican, but it doesn't look like a Mexican last name. Okay, I'll get into that a little bit later. But here's the thing. And as I was just stating to you guys, that this may strain the connection and ties that we have with Mexico of deporting non-Mexican illegal immigrants to Mexico. Well, a lot of people are calling foul on that, which they absolutely shouldn't, because Mexico is the way that they came into our country. Mexico allowed them to pass through Mexico from Central America through the jungles and woods and borders and ponds and lakes and rivers to into America illegally, and they knew exactly what they were doing. Are we friends with the Mexican government? Are we allies with the Mexican government? Are we bros with the Mexican government? Because here's the thing. I don't care who's crying foul. If you know that crimes are being committed by the way of your country, are you not an accomplice? Well, I know they're going through there, but they ain't coming to Mexico. They're going right through Mexico into America. Not our problem. They throw their hands up. So again, me personally, I don't have an issue with us deporting non-Mexican immigrants to Mexico because that is the way they enter the country. And we're not just talking about people from Honduras, Venezuela, Colombia, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Africa, Europe, Asia, India, China. All sorts of people were going through the Mexican border, and all of them should go back down that way and let Mexico handle them. Should America help Mexico? Will there be funding or troops to deport these illegal immigrants to their natural born countries? No. Did they help us? And I'm not saying we should be at a difference with Mexico, but shouldn't we treat them the same way they treated us? They didn't slow down the caravans of 10,000 and 15,000 of people that, again, we were watching these caravans grow larger and larger by the day, and they were all marching to America. And they were all marching through Mexico to America. So again, should we help? I digress with that because you already have my answer. But I want to focus on Claudia Sheinbaum, or Sheinbaum, however you state her name. She's the Presidente of El Mexico. She is. Now, so I looked it up and her picture came up because I say, where does the name Sheinbaum come from? They said the surname Sheinbaum is Yiddish name that translates to beautiful tree. Beautiful name. That's a beautiful last name. It is of Jewish origin. It can be traced back to the mid 1500s. That's astonishing. The current president of Mexico, born in 1962, she is the daughter of Carlos Sheinbaum, a Mexican businessman and chemical engineer. And this is what I was stating a while back when I was really focusing on certain demographics and certain communities, and we come to Jewish people altogether. Now, this is a Jewish last name. So a lot of times, somehow people associate Jewish with a race, or they associate Jewish with an ethnic. And they will say, well, you look white. Are you white? No, I'm Jewish. Okay, what race are you? Well, Jewish is an ethnic group. Well, it seems here that her name derives from Yiddish and is of Jewish origin, even though she has the complexity of being white, but we can all tell she is definitely not a European white woman, okay? And to her note, she's Mexican. So is Jewish, I'm asking all of you because you may be more intelligent than I, is Jewish a race? Is Jewish an ethnic? Or is Jewish a religion? Now, I'm going to tell you what I believe, and this is, please. I am not being anti-Semitic. You just got to say that these days, only because if you question certain demographics of people, oh, that's anti-Semitic. I don't know how that's anti-Semitic, okay? Me being black, I know what races is. I know the difference between races. I know the difference between prejudice, and I know the difference of people being a bigot. This is me asking questions. Is Jewish a race, an ethnic, or religion? Here's my answer. It's a religion because I've met black Jewish people. I've met Hispanic Jewish people. I met white Jewish people. And the white people that I've met, they wasn't only from the Israeli state. They wasn't only from Jerusalem. They were also from Germany. They were also from Eastern Europe. So again, when you look at the DNA and RNA, whether it be whatever sex, XY, XX chromosomes, and you take a blood test, what would it come back to be if you did Ancestry.com, 21andMe, 23andMe? What would it come back as? Of people who state that Jewish is an ethnic and that they're not, quote unquote, white when you're referring to certain demographics within the Jewish religion. These are just questions that I have because, again, we're looking at Claudia Sheinbaum, who is the Presidente of El Mexico, whose name is Yiddish, that the original form is Jewish. So again, these are just the questions I have. I know that you guys have more answers than I, but I just have to ask these questions because things are just intriguing to me altogether. Now, here's another one. Arizona, where an extraordinary death row case is making all types of headwaves, a prisoner fed up with delays has formally requested the state to expedite his execution. He said, you know what? I've been on death row for so goddamn long. Please just get it over with. Just go ahead and execute the execution. He stated that he was fed up with delays. He has formally requested the state to expedite his execution. So again, I want you guys to let that sink in. A death row inmate asking to speed up his own death. In this case, has reignited debates about the death penalty and the psychological toll. Listen, and the psychological toll of prolonged stays on death row. Advocates for reform say this highlights a broken system that fails both the inmates and their victims' families. So what do you think about this? Now, I posed this question to my wife, and we had her read into this because this is about Aaron Brian Gunchez, 53, had previously pushed for the state to carry out his own execution back in 2002. Let me help you guys to bring you abreast of the crime that he actually admitted to, okay? It states here that Aaron Bryan had previously pushed for the state to carry out his execution for his conviction in 2002 murder of Ted Price. So he murdered someone, his girlfriend's ex-husband, for which he had pleaded guilty. He is set to be put to death by lethal injection. Grunch's execution would be Arizona's first use of the death penalty since a 2-year pause to review execution procedures. Now, my wife, the lovely flower that she is, she said, babe, do you believe that he should have the right or the say so when he's executed? I'm like, well, babe, he committed to the crime. He committed the crime. I don't see why not. I think he should. And she said, no. Did the person he killed, did they have that same choice? Did they know when they were going to die? So it took me back for a second. I was like, that's a good point, honey. I didn't think about that. But basically, she was saying he should be psychologically punished. And don't forget when I was reading up here, okay, or I stated rather, about the psychological discord that he wants to just get it over with, right? But my wife, in some essence, believed that he should be going through mental torture as well. Think about the crime you did. Think about the life that you took for whatever reason that you took, and that you committed to this crime. And that guy, Ted Price, he didn't know the day nor the hour when you were going to murder him. So you sit your ass on death row. She didn't talk. My wife doesn't curse at all. She's part saint and part human. But nonetheless, that's what I got from her. And she said it with a smile like, no, baby, he shouldn't have a say so when they put him to death. He should be sitting on death row when the state is ready to put him to death. They put him to death. But he should think about it. He should go through psychological discord. He should just be, he just should be discombobulated altogether mentally. He should feel the pain. But I'm like, in my head, I didn't go back and forth with it because I believe she has a point. And I stated, in my head, I was just like, he's going to die anyway. But that's not the point. That wasn't the point. The point that she was making is Ted Price didn't know when he was going to be murdered by this man. So why should Aaron Grunches know when he's about to pass? It's a good point. I guess it's a good point, okay? To me, it was a good point, nonetheless. To me, it was a good point, nonetheless. Lastly, now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but in a case that could redefine free speech, especially in this new digital age, the Supreme Court set to hear arguments about whether social media companies have the right to censor content. Again, this is probably being birthed from TikTok and the banning thereof, whether it be YouTube, the platform we're on now, Instagram, because the decision could change the way platforms like X, also known as Twitter, as well as YouTube and Facebook and Instagram operate, which will affect millions of users and also the influencers of people who have shows, broadcasts, and podcasts. Now, my question is this about free speech, or do platforms have the right to enforce their rules? Because when I think about this, if you create something for the public, does that invention now adheres to federal and state and local laws? Or do you have the right to control your product, your invention, your platform from A to Z, from the rooter to the tutor? Are you the sole conspirator of what you created? Can you control that? Or because we live in the freest country known to man, so to speak, that the government, whatever level, will have say so in the free speech that you can say absolutely anything and not it being read or checked or you being banned or temporarily suspended? Should we have that freedom? Should we have that freedom? And going back to immigration, I want to make sure I don't miss this, okay? Because we heard about the Haitians supposedly, allegedly capturing ducks and all sorts of, animals that roam free in America in the wild that essentially don't attack people. I've never seen a duck attack anyone unless they were probably messing with their young. But I want to show you guys a clip that I came across on my Twitter page here. Let me let you guys see this very quickly. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think.
Why you lying, bro? Why you lying? So you just eat pigeon meat? Did you ever eat pigeon?
Who sell this pigeon?
You, bro, you. Did you ever eat pigeon?
Yeah. No, who sell pigeon?
So a few days ago, you're telling me that you didn't exit this car, throw a bunch of bread for a bunch of birds to come. You didn't grab a single bird and come in here. You saying no? Are you saying
denying
no?
it?
No.
You're saying no. You're saying no, so you're lying. So you're lying. Never.
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 You said never.
Oh, he said never.
You said never. Are you guys?
Never ever.
This business, my boss business is longer time.
Okay, but yeah, we're talking about you, not your boss. You are the one who grabbed the pigeon. So is your boss a pigeon grabber?
No.
Is this some sort of pigeon pyramid?
Now, the question I have with this particular one, they stated that a couple of days ago, this gentleman here, this is in New York, of course, he had breadcrumbs where he was throwing out breadcrumbs. I remember I'm a native of Washington, D.C. We used to you go to the park and feed the pigeons bread, right? This is something that people do, pass the time, read the newspaper, enjoy outside, etc. They stated that he was throwing breadcrumbs and people was watching. I guess, this is New York, there's people everywhere. And he was drawing it in. And in the military, we have this cadence. So in the Marines, this was a running cadence, but in the Army, it was a marching cadence. And if I can recall, bear with me, little tiny bird with the tiny bill landed on my windowsill, drew it in with a piece of bread, then I smashed his freaking head, blood and guts everywhere. And we're running to this. Again, we're Marines, we're soldiers, so this is everyday stuff to us, but nonetheless, they say that this gentleman drew pigeons in with pieces of bread and then captured them and basically saying, were you eating them? Was you serving it to the people? And it kind of reminded me of an influencer on Instagram. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you are familiar with him, called Supre. He does a lot of funny videos. He does reaction videos, but he's always showing people. And I know you see these videos from India and Asia, all these countries, not essentially part of North America, of them eating all sorts of like Komodo dragons and lizards and spiders and all sorts of things. And it had me to think that when I was in Korea, Korea, they kind of banning this. I think they banned it but Koreans used to eat kogogi, which was dog. They used to have farms that they would farm dogs. Now to American, because dogs are a domesticated animal, we just, oh my God, he eating dogs. They're eating, we believe that. And again, this is kind of one of the stereotypical things that Americans, okay, I'm not speaking about black folk, Americans have about Asian people, mostly the Chinese, that they eat cats. Now, I don't know if they eat cats or not. That's just one of the stereotypes, okay? But again, I was stationed in Korea for 4 years, and at the time, they had dog farms where you can go to said restaurants and actually have dog soup. They didn't call it dog soup. I think it was the proper name was kogogi. And in India, right, the cow is sacred. So essentially, they don't eat cows. Here's the reason why I'm bringing this up, right? In Africa, you have bushmeat. They have these very large, like hamsters that they go out and capture and they eat. To us, they will look like rats, but they're large. They're larger than New York rats. But then I had to start to really think and do a deep dive in an internal analyzation of American culture before I started to judge other cultures. See, this is the thing about getting wiser, getting older, and then understanding that, yeah, these things sound so grotesque because I'm not those people. But what about American culture? You guys know family members who may live in the South, mostly in the South. They go out and eat squirrels and raccoons. That's not everyday food that Americans eat. Majority of Americans probably eat 3 to 4 meats. You eat chicken, beef, and fish. And if you want to get jiggy with it, some of us may eat goat, lamb, and deer. Okay, and in alligator is becoming more domesticated, especially in places like Texas, Louisiana, and other places. But majority of us just eat 3 meats: chicken, fish, and beef. Okay. Then again, I've had chicken. I'm gonna be real with you, family. I had chicken, beef, fish, all types of fish. My favorite fish is red fish or red snapper. Mahi. There's so many darn fishes. I won't go through the whole list. But I've also had goat, lamb. I've had alligator. I've had kogogi, also known as dog. I tried it. I'm just letting you know. I had fish eyeball soup, and I know you guys go, ugh. It was actually pretty good. But I never. And when my family and I, when we went to Ghana, we believe they gave us bushmeat. We're not quite too sure. The meat looked weird, but they had it chopped up almost like it was beef. And my son, he took a piece of it. He was like, "This don't taste right." And I was like, "Well, let me taste it." I was like, "Nah, that don't taste like no beef I know." And so we didn't finish it. We went to another restaurant, and it was our tour guide's suggestion that we eat. So we was like, "Hey, we don't want no bushmeat." It was like, no, there's no bushmeat. But how would we know? Think about the Chinese restaurants you've been to, and the food was delicious. Remember the large chicken wings you used to get at the Chinese restaurant? You're like, hold up, what type of chicken is this? But you still ate it. Wait a minute, what chicken part is this? I've never seen this chicken part. I'm sorry. It just reminded me of my days growing up in DC and going to the carry-out chicken wings and mumbo sauce, and we used to always question, but we still ate it. We don't know in the end the hell we was eating, but again, I'm looking at our culture as well, and for us to demonize another culture. But I will say this: if that's your culture of catching pigeons, debirding or defeathering them, plucking them, so to speak, cleaning them and chopping them up and serving them people, don't do that in America. That's a definite no-no. Don't do that in America. Again, I'm just going to let this video finish. There's not too much else to it, but I'll let you guys finish it.
You support animal abuse?
That's not a sanitary
Pigeons. Why are you lying? Just admit it. Just admit that this cart sold pigeons. Just admit it, and we'll leave.
No.
Then we're staying. Then we're staying.
Okay, so what did you do with the pigeon that you grabbed the other day?
No.
So what happened with the pigeon? Was it a New Year's gift or what? Tell me.
The video was 21 hours ago. This ain't no 2-year shit, man. Oh, he's answering calls.
They're ordering pigeons. They're ordering pigeons.
Oh, I don't know what he's saying. Maybe we need a translator.
They've been absolutely disrespectful. And thank you, David Cross. And don't forget pork. And yes, a lot of Americans eat pork. no matter the demographics, right? And when it comes to pork, Lord have mercy. I know people who eat every part of the pig, we either be the boar or the pig, same part of the same family. I've seen people who eat pig feet, pig nose, pig ears, pig guts, Boston butt, which is a pig butt, Boston shoulder or pork shoulder. So Americans eat every part of the pig, and we'll even eat it once it's been fermented or what you call it when it's in the jars, not fermented, pickled, when they pickle pork stuff. So yeah, thank you, David. It's for meat. So we eat chicken, fish, pork, and beef. Those are the main 4 meats that Americans eat on a regular. Now, of course, a lot of us, I would like to believe, are decreasing the amount of pork because of the sodium intake. And again, the pig eats anything. They absolutely eat their own. They eat their own species. They eat their own feces. Again, the pig is a very filthy animal. That's why a lot of Muslims don't eat it, essentially. And again, if you're being biblical, they say that God blessed everything that way, that the people who are not Gentiles can break bread, and those animals are blessed as well. But nonetheless, a lot of us are decreasing our intake of pork. That's probably why I didn't think of it. And every now and again, that damn bacon. Whoever made bacon, you guys were evil, because I can't tell you the last time I had pork, but I can tell you this. The last time I had pork, it was bacon. Thank you, God. I'll say pork is a health food. Absolutely. Pickled pig feet and pickled pig lips. I've never heard of people eating pig lips. Ugh. I don't know if I want to eat a lip. I never had like a pig feet or pig ear. Just give me the bacon. Give me the ribs. Okay. So my 2 weaknesses when it comes to the pig, and again, I haven't had ribs in a very long time, but it definitely is bacon and ribs. But again, it definitely is a health risk for a lot of us. So again, thank you all for joining me here this evening. I'll see you guys in the morning. There's so much happening in the world. May you all be blessed. You guys have a great and wonderful evening. This is Blacklogic.